Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Let's talk about personal branding in real estate to supersize your business. Now, really, what we're going to talk about today is personal branding as a way to set yourself up for success no matter what industry you're involved in. I picked real estate because I've been involved in just about every facet of the real estate industry personally, as well as helped hundreds of people and businesses to grow and build and supersize their business, and using a personal brand is one of the strategies that we've used pretty consistently across the board because it is so powerful. Now, I don't know about you, but I've lost count of how many careers I've had in my lifetime. I remember in different roles and jobs and businesses. I remember in college there was a statistic going around. We heard that from several of our professors that we would have at least 12 different on average careers during our lifetime. And I would say that has definitely held true for me. I've had far more than a dozen different careers and roles that I've played. I grew up in the day when people still believed, but it was a lie then when I was going to college and things, that you would go to college, get your degree, get a good job with a great company with a pension, and retire with, a pension plus your Social Security, and you would have saved and done some things and be set for life. That fantasy is long since died. So why do we want to have a personal brand? What the heck is a personal brand? A personal brand is us taking charge and control and responsibility of our own career, our own businesses, our own personal life, right? And how we show up and how finances and our career plays out in our life. It's us taking control of that. And no matter what industry you're in, or if you're like me, you switch from and work in a lot of different industries, it can be extremely powerful because it showcases who you are, your core values, what's important to you, and what you stand for. And I, over the years, have also learned that when we're looking for people to join forces with, to collaborate with, to partner with, to hire in our organizations, or to do joint ventures with, it's the skills and it's not the skills and abilities, it's the core values and what they stand for and who they really are that will determine if they're a match for us or not. And our personal brand is a great way to showcase and demonstrate that. It helps build trust with people that we work with, different shareholders if you're in a business, as well as it lets people get to know who you really are, what you stand for, and why they should have you, what's unique about you. So how do we go about creating a personal brand? I'm just going to share a couple of notes that I jotted down to talk about this topic. The key elements of a personal brand are, of course, the key strategies for creating a personal brand are making sure that we consistently have an online presence across all the possible platforms that we can show up on. Now, we want to pick and choose the platforms that make sense for us, our career, our industry. For real estate, some of the most popular platforms are, of course, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. LinkedIn to me is my favorite business related professional brand. So if I'm going to only create a professional brand on one platform, it would be LinkedIn. Especially if you're owning businesses or hiring people or want to be hired, etc. But we want to make sure that if we are on more than one platform, we have a consistent showing on each of those platforms. We want to be consistent across those, but we also want to have our own website and showcase, have a blog, have it be mobile friendly, make sure that it speaks to and builds trust, shows who you are. Some of my favorite people to follow on social media personally are people that share who they really are, what's important to them in their lives, and because I know that the values that we have in our personal life are the values that show up in business. We want to create our personal brand by identifying our unique selling proposition. What's in it for people? What's unique about you that people in the real estate industry or in any industry would want to do business with you? Whether you're a real estate agent or a broker or an investor, why should people do business with you? What do you do that better than other people? And not maybe better, but differently in your own unique way. And that's where who we really are comes in. People do business with people they like. People hire people that they like and think that they're going to be a personality or a skills or an abilities or a values match with. When I hire for my companies, I hire people that have core values that are consistent with ours. One of the fastest ways to lose someone is to not have the same value for different things in the organization. We have personal core values, but we also have our businesses have personalities and brands and values as well, but they still have to match. They have to be congruent so that we can successfully build together. That's true of any relationship or any, and really our businesses and our brands are all about relationships and building those relationships. We want to leverage social media for our personal brands as well as our business brands. We want to have content strategies that make sense to showcase who we are. Do you create different types of content on your website and on social media so people understand your skills, your abilities, what you're an expert at, and things like that? And we share on our personal brands and our personal blogs, or however you choose to do that, on our personal websites, testimonials of people that have worked with us before, other people's stories. I love user-generated content, so I love it when people talk about how and what kind of experiences they've had with me personally. And I guess it's important to show everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. Don't just show only your good testimonies. If you've ever gotten a bad review or testimony, put that on there too, because if all you have are glowing reviews, people are going to know it's probably not absolutely 100% authentic. We all get haters. If you've been online any amount of time, you know that people come out of the woodwork to tell you everything you're doing wrong, or they hate your hair, or they hate your crooked mouth, or they hate your wonky eyes, whatever it is, or they think you're stupid and do name calling. There's all kinds of things. My favorite is the Wicked Witch of the West. Somebody told me they were horrified and I was the Wicked Witch of the West, which is still my favorite feedback. And it shows up in my personal branding because everybody gets an opinion, including us. To build a personal brand and your website, I say keep it simple. Make sure it looks good. Make sure it loads fast. Make sure it's SEO friendly. Make sure it's mobile, designed for mobile. Nowadays, if you're not designing for mobile, I'm going to invite you to do that first, because billions of people have devices, little computers that they're carrying around with them. And if it doesn't look good on that, guess what? Click. They'll go to the next thing, unless they really, really love and follow you. And then they'll still give you the feedback to say, fix your website because it's terrible on mobile. So don't get those comments. Integrate a blog or some way of communicating with people that resonates with your audience. I do a lot of video. Why? Because I can't see very well, and doing video works for me. So you have to find what platforms and what things work for you personally. Part of my unique selling proposition is I'm legally blind. So I actually see things very differently than other people do. And that makes and gives me a perspective that a lot of people don't have. That is an advantage, even though a lot of people would judge and say, oh, that's terrible, you can't possibly do anything. Guess what? I get more done than most people that have 20/20 vision. So it's all in our ability to look at ourselves and decide what's important and what's not important. We want to make sure, just like any other process or strategy we implement, we want to realize that there's going to be challenges with personal branding. And in the real estate industry, in most industries, there are laws and rules and regulations and guidelines in terms of what you can and cannot, how you can and cannot share within those industries. A lot of companies, financial sector, almost everyone I can think of right now. If you work for a company in a particular industry, they're going to have rules and regulations and say how you can and cannot do personal branding. I will contend they can say that. You don't have to mention the company that you're with, and you can find ways to create a personal brand that follows those guidelines, but also keeps you moving and growing and being responsible and creating your career. Car dealerships, car salesmen, I'm amazed they don't have personal brands. Why not? Because they move from dealership to dealership, most people, or they move from job to job, and they don't realize that the power of the personal brand can really, and having their own website, can help them showcase their skills and make it easier to land the next opportunity. But that's one of the challenges with personal brands, is everybody wants to control and manage them for you so that you're compliant with their corporate guidelines so you never get in any trouble. I may have mentioned in the past, I tend to be a rule stretcher. So I figure out how to make things work, doing them legally, ethically, morally, and correctly, but also making sure that I am owning and being personally responsible for how I show up in the world. And I invite everyone to do the same. We could talk about balancing personal and professional life, and that is an individual challenge for everyone to discover. I personally think balance is BS, and that balance is defined by us. There's different times of our life that we have to put more emphasis on certain areas and aspects of our life than on others. And so, yeah, balance is like thinking that there's never going to be any change. You're never going to be balanced. And what is balance? Is it 50% work, 50% personal? I don't know. It's up to you to decide. Me, I love work. So work has always been about 85-90% of my life, except when I was raising children, and now grandchildren take priority. You have to decide what that means for you. Just like you have to decide what everything means for you, and realize that nobody is going to do it for you. It's up to you to manage your career, your business, your life, and how you show up in the world. I'd love to know, we could talk about KPIs and continuous improvement. I think by now, if you've watched me at all, you know I am an avid believer in lifelong learning, lifelong customers, and continuous improvement. If we listen to people, if we talk to them, if we engage and have conversations with them, which is part of why a personal brand is so powerful, we can engage with the ideal people we want to work with, not just in one situation, but throughout our lifetime and throughout our career. And guess what? There are people like that out there. But the only way you're going to find them is if you're putting yourself out there so that they can find you. You can't find all the people that are for you all on your own. At least I don't think we can. All right, I'm meandering now in my thoughts. If I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, share how you are using personal branding for your life and for your career and for your business. Have an awesome day. Of course, be with you tomorrow.